the war in the trenches most of the year with defense and rebounding. Certainly we didn't do that last night, getting out rebounded the way we did by Chicago. They were the better team last night, and we just got to respond.
Roy Hibbert has had a breakout season in many ways. Is he at a point now where mentally he can get past having a couple of subpar offensive games and bounce right back?
Sure. I mean, he's had a couple of subpar offensive games this year and bounce back, the next game usually most of the time. We've got a tough opponent tonight. Pachulia is a beast inside with his physicality, so he's got a tall order tonight as well. But I got a great deal of confidence in Roy and our whole team.
What have you seen out of Roy the last few games on why it's kind of dipped a little bit offensively?
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of getting him the ball in the right spots, in position to succeed. He's working every bit as hard as he always has. Last time we played the Bulls, Joey Noah had a really tough time with Roy, and last night Noah won the battle.
Can you kind of pinpoint what happened in the third quarter, what it was that changed?
Yeah, I think they came out in low energy in the first half, and we sort of fell into that, and we played a low energy first half. Still held Derrick Rose down. He had a slow start, but I think the way they played in the first half, we should have been up 10, 15 points, and we weren't. We were up 1 at halftime. They recognized that they got away with not playing well in the first half, and saw an opportunity where they could take control of the game, and then they just got red hot. Sometimes that happens. Derrick Rose hits 3 threes with a guy in his face. Luol Deng hit a 3 from about 30 feet out. And we weren't making shots. We didn't execute well on the offensive end for really the whole night.
How big is it not to let it like an X factor, that guy you don't expect like a Lucas last night get going to kind of fill a void when their main guys are not going?
It kills you. I mean, you gotta hold everybody down. And you can't take anybody lightly. And I'm not saying we did with John Lucas, but we blew some coverages on him, and he was able to make a couple plays and kept him in the game.
What's the latest on Jeff Foster?
Jeff had a procedure done on his back. I'm not really sure of the specifics of it, but he's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks and reevaluated at that point and see where he's at.
Frank, you've been sort of in a position where you're going to nurse him to the postseason anyway, but the fact that he's kind of been out most of the year to this point, does that impact how you guys will approach March in terms of the trading deadline? Do you feel like you got enough big bodies? What do you think?
I don't know. I really, the great thing about the way we have our front office and our organization set up is I've got a great deal of faith and confidence in Larry and David Morway, and whatever they feel they need, it's their team. I'm just here to coach it. I got a great deal of confidence in Lou Amundsen. He's been playing really good basketball for us, and if we need to extend his minutes, I'm fine with that.
Is Pendergraft, is he at the point where he can help?
He's next. Yeah, he's ready to go. If we have any injuries or foul trouble, he can jump right in there, and I feel good about what he can give us as well.
How important is it mentally to beat a winning team? To beat a quality team, because it's been a few weeks.
We've got to do it. We know we can beat up on the weaker teams in the league, and we've had some success against some of the best teams in the league early in the year. We haven't seen a lot of them, quite frankly, on the schedule lately. It'll be a big, a good confidence boost if we can do that.
Larry talked about swagger. He said early in the year he saw a lot of swagger, that they went into those games feeling like they should win and would win, but he hasn't seen it as much since the team started to struggle a little bit. Do you see the same thing, and how do you define it, and how do you get it back?
You just build on the confidences that you have, and really you build your level of execution. You practice, you watch tape, you do all the little things that make sense, that if you do these things, you're going to win the game. And the more we can build those habits, that's where your confidence and swagger comes from.
There's been times when earlier in the season we had the 5-game losing streak, kind of got in the middle of the funk, and same thing, talking about the swagger. Is there anything you do differently this time around or going forward? Do you
it's really
talk to them about it, bring it up?
No, it's really just about execution. It's that simple. You continue to build the habits of winning basketball, and the more you build those habits, the more confidence they have in themselves. It's that simple.
You only played Dante 6.5 minutes last night. Is it that time where you're trying to
No,
rotation even
no, not trying to shrink it with him. It was just a matter of, we wanted to, the game was sort of out of hand, and about the time that he was going to go back in, and I wanted to look at George Hill and Paul George together. and just take a look at that combination.
What
They'll
did
be
you
back in their normal rotation tonight.
What did you think of that? Because both guys seemed to, I mean, they had good numbers.
Yeah, it was good. You know, I think it'll be good for us in the future. You know, but Paul is playing against shooting guards, you know, most of his NBA life so far. So, you know, every little taste he can get, I was happy, you know, that they put Lawal Dang back in, because he got to play 3 or 4 minutes, you know, guarding Dang and Dang guarding him. And that's just good for his growth. I think he did well, but, you know, we need a bigger volume to really evaluate that.
Does he need to be stronger, do you think?
Sure.
For that? I mean, how much more? Because he has played a 2 guard, he's played not a light game, but more of a athletic game with those guys.
I think ultimately, you know, if he's going to compete with the LeBrons and the Carmelo Anthonys and Lawal Dangs and the big power small forwards, then sure, he's got to bulk up some. He's young. He's 21 years old.
Is this just to add flexibility, or is this a look at that maybe down the future he's a small forward?
No, it's just flexibility.
Okay.
You know, Danny Granger's a big part of this franchise, and you know, I don't expect that to change anytime soon.
Was there any thought of, with the game out of hand, taking Paul out and on the play tonight? Because he played just about the whole fourth quarter last night.
Yeah, but you know, he hadn't played that many minutes. I think if we maxed him out, he was only going to play 33, which is not a real big volume, you know, going into a back-to-back. And I really wanted to see, you know, him play against some of those, you know, like I said, once they put Dang in, I wanted to see that.